Hello to all cinema fans. This is Film Anatomy. If you or your family spend even 1 hour a day on social networks, or you try to solve most of your needs through the internet, by now, you must have had questions about the nature of this world. What is the structure and principles of this space? How did it come about and what is the goal of its creators? What are the pros and cons? What are the dangers inside it and may it threaten our lives? Should we be worried about the internet space and these social networks or not? If you have these questions, or something similar to these questions, be sure to watch this video until the end. In this video, we want to introduce you to 4 important, strange and shocking documentaries about the internet and social networks. So, stay with us until the end of this video. Also, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Number 4. The Tinder Swindler, 2022. Many of us know the Tinder dating network, or even have an account and spend a few minutes every day to find our favorite person on it. In this documentary, the case of one of the biggest frauds in virtual networks is investigated in an attractive way with a captivating narrative. The story of this documentary is about a person named Simon. Simon, who is an Israeli, by posting photos of his business and leisure trips, as well as his luxurious life, sets himself up as a famous multi-billionaire kid. And he will win the heart of every girl who is looking for an attractive and rich man who can provide them with an ideal life. One of these girls, that documentary begins its narration with her words, is a person named Cecily. Cecily, a kind-hearted and beautiful girl, when she asks Simon for friendship out of curiosity, she sees in disbelief that this request was accepted by Simon. After chatting for a few days, Simon invites Cecily to a very luxurious and dreamy date. Simon earns Cecily's trust by throwing expensive parties and spending a lot. And on the other hand, it shows that he has fallen in love with Cecily, and Cecily, imagining that she is the luckiest girl on the planet, dreams about the future of this relationship in her mind. A few days have passed. Simon informs Cecily that something terrible happened to him and he needs his beloved's help. Cecily feels obliged to take care of Simon. Simon asks Cecily to transfer large sums of money to him in several stages. After some time passes, Cecily realizes the truth of the story and realizes that she has fallen into a fraud trap. And besides, she realizes that she is not the only deceived girl in this story. That's why she decides to take his revenge on Simon. Whether he succeeds or not, I suggest you watch this documentary. Somewhere in the documentary, it is shown that the Israeli authorities and people apologize to Cecily and the other girls for the deceptions and frauds that Simon had as an Israeli. But when Simon goes to Israel, for such damages and big frauds that Simon had, the Israeli government is only satisfied with a small punishment, and after a few months, releases Simon, and names this work Modern Treatment of Human in the Modern World. But in this modern treatment of human beings, no one cares about the rights of the girls who were harmed by this scam. Be sure to see this documentary. Number 3. Beyond the Spotlight, Mr. Beast, 2021. Among virtual networks, YouTube has a different and special place, both in terms of the content that is produced and published in it and the ability it has to earn money. Unlike social networks like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter and others, in YouTube, the content, or to be more precise, the videos, have educational and analytical aspects. This means that when the audience enters YouTube, they are purposefully looking for learning a skill or improving their knowledge, or doing research, which makes them spend a lot of time watching videos. But in the meantime, there are producers who rely more on entertainment. Mr. Beast is one of these people who initially produces videos for fun. But after some time, he decides to do something big. He gets a tempting offer, but he decides to turn this offer into a great, valuable and human work. And this decision changes the course of his life and even the people around him. When Mr. Beast realizes the magnitude of his work, decides to continue this path with more seriousness and motivation. It gets to the point where the videos he produced get millions of views, which brings him a lot of financial profit. The important point that needs to be mentioned is that, what Mr. Beast did in his videos, becomes an inspiration and a model for other people to do such things in their own community, whether small or big. And people's helping to each other becomes a social movement. This culture building and launching such humanitarian works in a community can be called as the correct use of social networks. Something that is not paid much attention these days. In this documentary, which is a kind of a biographical documentary, we hear from Mr. Beast himself, as well as those around him, explanations about the path they have traveled so far, their goals and intentions, and the things they have done. And we also see behind the scenes of some of these works. Number 2, The Great Hack, 2019. This documentary, which was produced in 2019, is about the misuse of Facebook users' information by a company called Cambridge Analytica. In 2016, when Donald Trump is running for the US presidential election, he will launch various campaigns to impress people and collect their votes. Cambridge Analytica company, by communicating and giving suggestions to the central campaign and even Trump himself, gives them the guarantee that by collecting and analyzing people's information in cyberspace, as well as conducting the necessary advertisements, makes the Republican Party to win in this election period of America. The subject that is discussed in this documentary is cooperation with Facebook and the unethical and illegal access of this company to very important data and information of people in social networks, especially Facebook. In these days, when technology and artificial intelligence are growing and getting stronger every second, companies like Facebook, that of course it's a year which it has changed its name to Meta, Twitter, YouTube, Google and many other social networks access more, deeper and more sensitive to the information of their users. And the more these accesses and information are, the better they can control the users and people of a country. This access of cyberspace giants to information has brought the concerns of users as well as governments of other countries. In this documentary, the documentary maker bravely reveals the dominance of these virtual space giants. Of course, we should also say that at the end of the documentary, by mentioning some legal measures and showing some formal actions by the managers of these companies to protect the privacy of users on the internet, he is trying to reduce the seriousness and horror of the situation. But friends, we all know that in this era, no one is willing to back down from their position of power. The most important and horrifying point is that this documentary is for 2019. The power and aristocracy that the owners of cyberspace have today is much more than in those days. In this documentary, we see the confessions of the old employees of Facebook and Cambridge Analytica about the method of monitoring and controlling users' information. And also the actions and abuses that can be done with this information are explained to us in detail. Somewhere in the documentary, it is said that today, with the actions of those in power, there is no such thing as democracy in societies. In this documentary, a person named Brittany Kaiser, who was one of the most important members of the Cambridge Analytica company, realizes his wrong, illegal and ethical behavior and cooperates with the documentary team to expose it. My special suggestion to you is to watch this documentary, and be sure to suggest others to learn more about this dark space of the internet. Number 1. The Social Dilemma, 2020. This documentary, which was produced in 2020, is about one of the most important and biggest problems shared by all the people of the world: technology and the internet. In this documentary, we see conversations with managers and former employees of large companies such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Google. Specialists who were able to make people more attracted to these networks and software by adding or improving parts in these social networks. Those who are now very sorry for such actions and by appearing in this documentary. They intend to warn the audience and users of these spaces that there is a huge distance between what you think about these networks is very different from the reality that is happening. In summary, in this documentary, we come to the point that the only thing that is important for the managers and owners of these social networks is more time their users are spending in these networks. And also the financial benefits they get from seeing advertisements or selling their services. In the meantime, the only victims are the users of these virtual spaces. In this documentary, the damage caused by these social networks to people is examined from different aspects. Damages such as depression, loss of personal and social identity, emergence of behavioral and psychological disorders, wasting time and most importantly, access to important and personal information of users. This documentary can be seen as a complement to the Big Hack documentary. two separate and different views on cyberspace, each of which informs about the existence of an important and fundamental problem for all the people of the world as well as for the future generations. So I suggest you watch these two documentaries. Today, when all our work, activities and relationships are tied to the internet, it may be difficult to separate from this virtual space and mobile phone, but awareness of these stylish monsters is something everyone should have. We should know that for every minute of our connection to these virtual networks and our presence on the internet, what damages it brings and what irreparable damages it causes us. Maybe the only solution that can be suggested to deal with these problems is to use them less. And for this, the first step is to be aware and know what we are dealing with. What are its disadvantages and harms, and what are its advantages and benefits? Recommend this video to your friends so that they also know about these documentaries. Tell us what you think about these documentaries and what documentaries or movies you have seen that are about cyberspace and its dangers. Wait for the next video introducing the documentaries. See you soon.